If you want to be somebody who is successful, there are a lot of things that you need to get comfortable with as time goes on and as you progress in business. And today I want to go over 5 things that you need to be comfortable with if you want to succeed not only in business, but as a person and becoming a successful individual, somebody that you can admire, or somebody who you would be proud to show your 18-year-old self. If you don't know who I am, my name is Carter Positan, and I'm a 21-year-old entrepreneur who has grown and scaled multiple businesses past 6 figures in less than 3 years. And my whole goal here on YouTube is to help and be the mentor that I needed, not only when I was 18, but the person that I needed last year, last month, last week, yesterday, and every day I strive to be a better individual, whether that be with money, whether that be education, whether that be emotional intelligence, whether that's regular intelligence, wealth, business, scaling, whatever it is. I so desperately needed somebody to show me the steps that I needed to take in order to become the man that I am today. And I want to be that person for everyone that's out there is lost. So, without further ado, as I said, I want to go over 5 things today that you need to get comfortable with if you want to succeed as a person. And number one is going to be being alone. People are so scared to let their thoughts ring through. They're terrified of allowing themselves to truly think, and being alone is something you're gonna have to get comfortable with. Nobody wants to go to the gym alone, nobody wants to drive alone, nobody wants to do this alone. And one of the biggest things that not only builds independence with a person, but allows you the freedom to do what you want without somebody else being the reason that you're able to do it, right? I think of when I started traveling, and now I have tons of friends all over the world that I could easily travel with, and I still choose to go alone a lot of the time because I realize how much more self-discovery and how much more opportunity you get when you go into things alone, right? And there's good and there's bad to being alone. But one of the goods about being alone specifically is how much more you can get done. And I'm not talking about a depressive state where you're isolated and deprived of social people. That's not what I'm saying. But to build something truly beautiful, most of the time you're gonna have to be alone. Some people, some outliers are gonna get successful. They're gonna have great partners from the start, right? Someone like Steve Jobs got lucky with who they started the business with, right? But the work that goes into it when you are by yourself is more important than people understand. And I think most people expect somebody to share the workload with. And when you're starting your own business or trying to build anything, right? Anything, do anything. If you want to learn a language, if you want to learn how to play guitar, if you want to learn how to skateboard, right? Ride a motorcycle, and especially start a business. Yeah, it's awesome to have somebody that can teach you certain things. But at the end of the day, learning guitar is not learnt with a guitar teacher. It's learnt at home alone, right? So when you go into building a business, what you need to understand is that all of the hard work is going to be done by yourself. Nobody is there to hold your hand, and nobody is coming to save you. So get comfortable with being alone, accept it, and embrace it. And I promise you, it's honestly one of the best things to have independence and be okay doing things alone. But on top of that, it is something that people are really uncomfortable doing, and you need to get comfortable with it if you want to be successful. And number two is sucking. You need to be okay with being bad. And I'll talk about another one of these things that's pretty similar later, but be okay with just not being good, right? Because when you start at anything, you are going to be bad. You are going to suck at every single aspect of the thing that you're doing, right? I don't care if you want to talk about beginner's luck or someone naturally talented. Nobody is natural. There is no such thing as natural talent. And you are going to be genuinely bad at whatever you start. And most people don't want to get over that hump, and especially not do it alone, right? So all these things work into each other because they're all things that you do genuinely need to get comfortable with and work with, interlocked with each other in order to improve. But sucking at things is an uncomfortable truth that people don't want. Nobody wants to be seen as bad, right? Nobody wants to be seen as somebody who's not good at something. They don't want to be a beginner, right? They want the result without the work. But here's the thing, is sucking is the work. That's how you get to anywhere. It doesn't matter, like I said, if you want to learn guitar, guess what? You're going to suck for so fucking long before you can play a song. But there's a beauty in that. It's just you need to become accustomed and become okay with sucking. Number 3 is being hated. And these really work in with the first two, especially being alone, because here's the thing is becoming the best version of yourself means saying no to all the clutter. All the things that don't matter to you, you say no to, right? When your friend asks you to go for a drink for the 6th time this week, what do you say? No, right? So this works in with being alone because you're going to be alone and all your friends are going to hate you for it. Everyone that asks you out every weekend and you keep saying no to, they're going to hate you, right? And not to mention, on top of that, is even when you get to the point where you want to be, every single person that didn't want to put in the work beside you and didn't want to build and adapt with you or grow, and all these people that you're going to rise above at the end of your journey are going to hate you. And it might not be a hate and it's like, oh, this guy doesn't want to hang out with us. It's going to be envy, right? It's going to be this feeling for people that you wanted me to win. Everybody that wanted you to win at the start. All these people rooting for you, pushing you. All of a sudden, they're not so happy anymore. All those nice comments are flooded out. Because even at the start, like I said, when you say no to people, when you start to say no to all these opportunities, people all of a sudden are like, oh, this guy's too cool for us, whatever, in the first place, right? But a lot of people will still root for you to do what you're passionate about. And when they see that you're passionate about something, you might still have friends that are pushing you on. But at the end of the day, and I'm not saying drop your day ones or let go of everyone, but what I'm saying is all the people that pushed you on at the start, once you get to where you want to go, despise you. There was so much envy in people's hearts, and it honestly was something that took me so long to be okay with, because I had best friends when I got to a point where like I could go out and spend a lot of money and I was traveling the world and not really worrying about stuff, right? Where I noticed this sense of like all of a sudden they're talking nonsense in my ear. They're saying bad things about me and like to my face. Like it's not like they were hiding behind closed doors, but I can't even imagine what they were saying behind closed doors because these are people that I considered my best friends at the time, right? And to hear things telling me like just constantly cracking jokes of the fact that like, oh, I'm too good for people, or like, oh yeah, we get it, you did this or this, and it's like, first of all, that's not energy I want in my life. So it's a lot of people that I pushed out because I don't need that, right? But on top of that is it sucks. It sucks feeling isolated from people that you used to once love. But the truth is once you get successful and once you start to build something, and even before that, people are really going to start to hate you. See, I always live by a frame of mind, and it's to be selfish is to be selfless, because you can't help anyone until you help yourself, right? And everybody feels so sorry for themselves. They take this victim mentality. Everybody wants to root for the underdog, but once you're actually winning, you're the villain. So watch out for these energy suckers, because they're going to be all over, and people are going to hate you once you win. And number 4, I think this fits into kind of everything, but it's being a loser. And this was really weird for me, especially because, like, I won't lie, and I don't mean to sound arrogant when I say this, but when I was in high school, I was a popular guy, right? I built my way up to that. I wasn't at the start of high school, but at the end, you're kind of like that cool whatever, right? The cool tattooed motorcycle guy, got the girls, whatever you want to call it, right? And all of a sudden, you take this step out of high school, or whatever area you're in that you're doing well in, and you leave your comfort zone and you restart. And now you go from the top of the food chain to nothing. You have nothing to show. You have nothing that you can show you have nothing to show for anything you've done. You have no proof of concept. You have nobody that's seen what you can do, and you don't even know what you can do, right? So if you're starting a business from scratch, let's say, all of a sudden you're a fucking loser. You are truly the epitome of a loser. You got nothing. You have nothing. You are nothing. And it's a truly humbling experience. But once you start your journey, or if you're on your journey, you're going to realize all of a sudden all these connections you had are meaningless, right? Because even if you were successful in another field, you're a loser here, right? I'm not saying you can't take skills from other places, but no matter where you're leaving, if it's college, if it's high school, if it's an old job, an old company, you're kind of always back to ground zero in one way or another. And I think through life you learn, and you're not truly at ground zero ever. But you're going to be a nobody in whatever field you're in. And I think people really underestimate how much of a loser they're going to be. Because like I said, I went from this cool guy who got all the girls and did anything I wanted to, get into every party, got invited to do everything, everybody wanted to be my friend, to I'm literally a nobody in this giant city, right? And that's another frame of mind that I've always, that's stuck with me, right? Is you can either be a big fish in a small pond or a little fish in a giant ocean, right? You can either be the king player in your little small town, and that's awesome if that's what you want. But if you want big things, you're going to have to eat dirt for some time, man. And people are more willing to help you when you're at the start, but even the second you get a little bit of momentum, people are much less likely to help you out. And it's something I've noticed very quickly going through the ranks as quick as I have and building up this life that I want for myself. Is like, yeah, I'm getting to where I want to be, but nobody's supporting you anymore, right? And I'm a winner in my eyes now, and the people that know me see me as a winner. But for years, all I thought of myself was as a loser, because that's what it felt like compared to every single other person you're going to meet in any other industry. They're all winning, right? You're going to be a loser. You know nothing. You are nothing. You have nothing to show. And as much as it's going to suck, you need to get comfortable with it. And there's, like I said, there's inherent beauty in all these things that I'm naming, because it's humbling yourself. And all of these 5 things that I want you to get comfortable with, at the end of the day, all of them are just humbling yourself, right? Taking yourself down a notch and putting yourself in a position where you're okay with just not being the best, right? And it's a hard pill for people to swallow, and people don't want to do that. But as I said, in order to become something, you can be awesome in a small crowd, but if you want to build great things and succeed to yourself, you need to push yourself past boundaries. And humbling yourself is so important, because you got to understand you're nothing. You got nothing to show for it. So if you're starting out in this, expect to drop down a notch, but also appreciate the beauty in taking yourself down. And number 5, and finally, we have failing. Nobody wants to fail. Nobody wants to be seen as a failure. And I've talked about this in many other videos, and I feel like I talk about it pretty often because obviously it has to do with sucking, right? All these things interlock with each other, as I said, but failing specifically, I feel like failing is not the same as being bad at something. Because when you're bad at something, you could be an absolute beginner and be like, well, obviously I'm going to suck at skateboarding. I've never skateboarded, right? I'm going to suck at running a business. I've never ran this business. But you can get over that. The thing about failing is people inherently want to quit when they fail. And I hate to break it to you, but failing is the only way that you learn properly. It's the only way you grow, and it's the only way you transform, and nobody wants to be seen as a failure. Nobody wants to fail. Nobody wants to start a business, tell everybody that they went to go do this business, and then all of a sudden, oh, I failed. It's over, right? But here's the thing. Is your first business model you're going to start is going to fail, right? I think 9 out of 10 businesses fail. There's a reason for that, because shit is hard and people don't like hard. People fail once and they never get back up. The amount of times I've had to get back up, the amount of times, because one of the things I talk about is like music has always been my number one passion, right? Every single thing I put out has been a failure. And the only reason I even became an entrepreneur in the first place was for music. I'm still failing music as we speak. But I still wake up every single day and push myself to where I need to go in order to be who I want to be in the music industry and put out the best work. And I know I'm constantly evolving, but the thing is the amount of failures it took along the way to even get to where I am today. And I'm nothing today. I'm still a absolute loser when it comes to music. And that's the process. It's going through these steps, right? And I fail every single time I post a song. I fail every single time I post a TikTok. Every single time I post every single time I post a YouTube video. Because I don't know what I'm doing with YouTube. I've never done this. You know what I mean? But there's such a beauty in being a beginner and messing up each time. I mess up thumbnails. I mess up editing. I mess up talking. I mess up whatever it may be, right? There's beauty in that. But the thing is every time I post a YouTube video, it gets better each time. The editing's better, it's quicker, it's more efficient, thumbnail's better, the tags are better, everything's better. I'm speaking better, I'm speaking more coherently, I'm talking about topics I care more about, and I'm more comfortable in front of a camera. Every single time I do that with a vlog, every single time I do that talking to a new person, every single time I do it with anything, right? Because each step is a failure. Every step is a failure. Once you reframe your mind into understanding that everything you do is a failure, is the moment that you accept that failure is growth. Anytime you've been rejected by a chick, it's failure. But the next time you do it, you're going to get better at it. You're going to get more comfortable with it, right? Every single time you start a business or mess something up, even if it's dire in a business, that's a mistake you are never going to make again. You know what I'm saying? If you pissed your pants in front of a girl, I can promise you you're never going to do that again. You might not walk up to a girl again, but you learned your lesson, right? And that's the whole thing. Is every time I post a song, I realize, oh, I should have done this better, I should have done this better, I should have done this better. And each song gets better. Each recording gets easier. I get more comfortable in my voice. The failure is the growth, and if you are not failing, you are not moving. Get comfortable with failing. And those are the 5 things that I really think you need to get comfortable with if you want to succeed. There's obviously plenty more, and I would love to do this video again because this is something that I dealt with for a long time, especially as a high anxiety person growing up, coming out of high school and refreshing start. I didn't know what I was doing, and everything made me so anxious every step. And these are things that I've had beauty in today and looking back at, and the struggle that I had during this time, because looking back, everything isn't as bad as it seems. But I pushed myself to my limits all through 18, 19, 20, 21, about to turn 22, and I'm still pushing my limits every day. And I love looking back and seeing how much I pushed myself. Those are the best days to me, to this day. And anyways, being alone, sucking, being hated, being a loser, and failing. These are the 5 things I need you to engrave into your mind. You're starting out your journey in entrepreneurship, in anything new, any new endeavor, because all of them are going to happen. And if you want to do great things, you really need to get comfortable with these things. Even me now, I still need to be comfortable with all these things to progress in any way possible. Once again, my name is Carter Positan, and if you enjoyed this, I would love video recommendations, things you want to hear, things you want to see on this channel. I'm posting every single week now, every Thursday. I might miss one here or there because this is a side thing to me. I just enjoy doing this truly. But I would love if you guys would leave a like and subscribe. If anything I'm talking about resonates with you, or I've helped you through anything, I want to hear in the comments. I want to hear from people. I want to create a community of people that are helping people, right? So if you want to drop a follow, drop a subscribe, like the video, leave a comment, that would be awesome, guys. I want to hear from you. I want to create a community here. So I'm out for now, and I will see you guys next week.